up, it's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. Today I'm going to be talking about 12 books that actually creeped me out. Hello. Before we get on with the rest of this video, future Jan here, nice to meet you. I'm just gonna take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Manta Sleep. If you haven't heard of Manta Sleep, they are this sleep mask brand. They reached out and asked me to try out their products, so they sent me this sleep mask. Yeah, this is unlike any sleep mask you will ever see. So basically, their mission, their mantra is the pro nap movement, right? So I'm a busy gal. All of you are busy people, and us readers, we have to sneak in reading on top of our busy schedules. So sometimes we need a little nappy nap, you know? That's where these come in handy to ensure that you have well optimized sleep, you get a solid nap in, and then you wake up recharged, rejuvenated, and ready to take on the day. What's unique about these are many things. They're 100% blackout, as opposed to those flimsy sleep masks that you can get anywhere that are transparent basically, and you wake up because the sun's shining through. These, hold on, I can't see a darn thing. Nope. It's 100% blackout. You kind of feel like you're in Bird Box, but that's a whole different story. So you're for sure gonna get a good night's sleep because it's like having blackout curtains, but like on your face. But it's also on your face without the pressure of other sleep masks because they have these, you can detach them because I have like different sizes. Like this is a maxi eye cup and you can just detach and reattach a different one to suit your needs, and it tells you like the direction. It says your nose right here on this little tag. This part is super soft, fully adjustable. I have a pretty big head, so this is very helpful. The materials they make this with are like incredibly breathable, durable, so freaking comfy. Like I can't get over it. I'm just like, I could literally take a nap right now. These eye cups help take that pressure off of your eyelashes, your eyelids. It's a very comfortable, just like laying on your face type thing. It doesn't get in the way because it's still securely on your head. It's not like restricting, you know, your blood flow. Manta has all different types of masks. So this one that they sent me, just the standard one, I believe. They also have one with like cooling technology, a steam mask, an aroma mask. They have a weighted mask, a silk one, and then they have Manta Sleep Mask Pro, and that's specifically for extra like ventilation and stuff and made for side sleepers. I'm a side sleeper, but this seems to do the job. All I know is I'm gonna be waking up like a whole new person when I sleep with these, or I won't wake up at all because, you know, 100% blackout. Anyway, if y'all are part of the pro nap movement, you love your naps, you hate getting interrupted by any type of light, you've tried sleep masks before, but they're either too heavy on your face, too tight on your face, they just didn't fit right, they're see-through, then y'all need to try this. I do have a discount code. It'll be down below, but it's literally just my name, Jan. Get some money off. The link will be down below as well. We all deserve a solid rest in the midst of, you know, the hustle culture and the grind and whatever else. Thank you so much to Manta Sleep for reaching out and wanting to work with me and sponsoring this video. Back to regularly scheduled programming. I hope you like this video. Alright, so throughout Booktober, I was planning on doing a bunch of book recs videos. Then I got food poisoning, and then everything went downhill. I basically just didn't feel like filming sit-down videos, so I've been putting out vlog after vlog after vlog. But now, here I am, feeling like filming. I haven't even had breakfast yet, and it's like noon. I took a poll on my Patreon. I have a Patreon now, by the way. It's vampire themed. It's called The Lair. We all talk about, obviously, books, spooky things, Taylor Swift, coffee, pets, everything in the Discord. The Discord is only for the Dracula and Carmilla tiers, but I love everyone in my Bat tier as well. I love everyone on there. So if you are so inclined to join the party, all those links are down below. It's so much fun over there. I love talking to everyone. Anyway, I took a poll. Everyone voted for this video to be my next sit down video, but I do want to eventually do like a Dark Academia Rex video, Witchy Rex, Vampire Rex, obviously. Those are to come even after after spooky season is over. Y'all know it's year-round on this channel. I'm wearing my bat sweater. It's still Vampathon until Monday, so just trying to get in the spirit. I have 12 books here that have actually either scared me or made me gag or scream or just react viscerally in some type of way. Some of these have like really disgusting, gory scenes, graphic scenes, things like that. So they're not all necessarily like scary, I couldn't sleep at night type shit, but y'all get the idea. I had a longer list than this, but some of the books I let Joey borrow, some of them were library books, so I'm just gonna talk about the ones that were currently on my shelves today. There's no particular order or anything. There goes my haunted toilet again. Spooky. We're gonna start off with this one. I think this is the book I read the most recently. We Can Never Leave This Place by Eric LaRocca. I would put all his books on here, honestly, because they're the king of horror novellas. This was 5 stars for me. This had everything I'm absolutely repulsed by though, like rats, mice, no, there were only rats, birthing scenes, pregnancy, like if you know, you know. It's only like 96 pages. There's this big scene where everything creepy that you can think of is pretty much in that one scene. There's spiders, lizards, snakes, all the critters. So yeah, this is just a like horror fantasy. I would consider it splatterpunk, I think. I don't even know what I'm saying. Never mind. Scratch that I said that. But the creepy animals do talk. You're thrown right in. There's all these what feels like random things going on. I mean, he did a lot in 96 pages or whatever this is, 80 pages? I don't even know. This is a fun time. I loved Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. I loved You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I want to read his backlist, his other short stories and everything. So if you haven't checked this author out and you love horror, I highly recommend. Another one, well, I guess I'll do both of them at the same time since I just talked about like an author as a whole. Grady Hendrix. This is the first one I've read by him, Horror Store, and then I read My Best Friend's Exorcism, and then I also read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I thought I was gonna love the most, but ironically, I was not into. And I still want to read We Sold Our Souls. I know that takes place in hell, and I kind of love that concept. There was just this like dreadful rat scene that everyone was warning me about in the vampire one, but like overall, this one was my favorite by Grady Hendrix thus far. It's like the IKEA catalog. It's so cool. This one was a 3-star for me, and I hated the movie. Joey and I didn't even finish the movie because it was so bad. But there were scenes in here that included like tapeworms and earwigs and cockroaches and stuff. So yeah, that definitely has the creep factor. And here there was also a rat scene towards the end specifically. This one's like basically a parody on retail life. And I've worked retail for 7 years, so I thought this was hilarious. There were some creepy moments, not just in the rat scene, but like when they stayed overnight in this IKEA type store, there was this like kind of intruder or this other being that was there, and there was a seance. I would definitely read this again. I thought it was such a fun time. The next book I read for Summerween this year, it was quite the surprise because I didn't have any interest in picking this up until I saw that Gabby from Gabby Reads picked it as her Book Troop book club pick. My friend Hannah from Hannah's Recent Reads was one of the guests, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna participate this month. I ended up not reading it until Summerween, but The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This was genuinely scary. Like if you want a haunted house book that's actually haunted, this is the one, people. This was my first ever Darcy Coates. I've heard a lot of their books are actually creepy, so I would love to read more. I definitely want to read Gallows Hill, which is their most recent release. I heard The Carol Haunt is scary too, so if you're iffy about Darcy Coates, I would recommend this one for sure. There's this thing in this house, and this girl moves there with her cat, and she's broke, so she can't afford a phone or like to go into town often and things like that. So she's basically trapped in this house with this thing, and it's creepy, okay? It actually creeped me out, hence why it's in this video. My god, Jan. All right, this one is kind of the opposite, where it's kind of anticlimactic in the horror aspect. White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson actually creeped me out until we got to the ending and everything was revealed and whatever. But throughout, like the build-up, there were some creepy moments. Like I was buddy reading this with Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. I had to be like, hey, wanna stream? Because I can't read this alone at night. Like I said, not all of these books are genuinely scary. Like as a whole, it wasn't scary, but the parts that I read, it was a fun time being like creeped out, being home alone and things like that. All right, the next one is my favorite true crime book ever, and that is Mindhunter by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. This and The Killer Across the Table were my first 2 true crime books ever. I borrowed this from someone who is now not in my life. Then I had to buy myself a physical copy. The show, I've only watched, I think, an episode or 2, but I prefer prefer Criminal Minds to it, but I know Criminal Minds is inspired by this book too. This is what got me diving headfirst into true crime. John Douglas was the founder of I forgot what it's called. A former FBI special agent, the Bureau's criminal profiling pioneer. Why can't I remember the freaking title? He has like a special name for that. Anyway, he's a profiler, and basically what they do is they collect all this evidence from the victims and everything and like the crime scenes, and they build a profile of the serial killer. So they get like down to the nitty-gritty, like they're able to identify what kind of car the serial killer drove, what kind of upbringing, education, age, relationship status, things like that. So it's very fascinating. Like, I flew through this book and I would definitely read it again and annotate. I learned so much from this book, and of course it actually creeped me out because there are real situations in here, a bunch of murder and gore and blood and actual psychopaths, and they go deep into their like psyche and what brought them there and things like that. So love this book. Would highly recommend if you're trying to get into true crime. The next book I'm actually going to do a reread in December for my book club. Well, I'll probably read it in January, right before the live show. But Horrid by Katrina Leno. This is actually like one of my favorite YA books of all time. This actually creeped me out because it's so like left field. The very first page, they mention this thing that she's doing, and then you're like, no, she's not actually doing that. It's a metaphor. And then you realize like that's a thing that she does. If you know, you know. And then the ending, I just can't even say anything. This is another like haunted house type book where the girl and her mom move to a small town, and there's all these like rumors about the house and things like that, and she makes friends who want to like see the inside of the house, and all these weird things keep happening. It's so weird because I read this on my phone originally. Now I have 2 physical copies, but I read it on my phone and the chapters are long as hell. So it's like, not only did I read it on my phone, which is a freaking struggle in and of itself, but the fact that the chapters were long, which is like my worst enemy, and I was able to fly through it, says a lot about the book. The next book is actually another book club pick of mine from last December. Oh, that's so funny. So funny. But The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This is kind of like a thriller with horror elements about this haunted boarding school, all-girls boarding school. The haunted part of this book actually creeped me out sometimes, especially when I was reading it at night. And it's so good. It's so well written. I love Simone St. James. She is the queen of dual timelines. I think she does it really well in a way that's not confusing. I also like The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, and I definitely want to read more of her backlist. The next one, I don't think anyone would be surprised that I am mentioning, but Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Tomie is still on the shelf. I cannot be bothered to grab it right now, but this one I feel like creeped me out more than Tomie. I just love Tomie more because of the premise. But Uzumaki, you'll never be able to see a spiral, like the pattern, a spiral, the same ever again. You'll never be able to see snails the same ever again. This is a manga, if you didn't know. Junji Ito is king of horror manga. His illustrations, his art style, you can't unsee some of these things. I'm not going to show you any because I don't want to spoil anything. He's my favorite manga author. He's the one who got me into manga. You just have to. It's about this like cursed town in Japan, and there's all these things going on with the people being infected with this thing, and there are snails and spirals and skin conditions, and it's just everything. That's another one where it didn't really like, you know, make me lose any sleep or anything, but it did repulse me. It's the same thing with House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. This was more like, this was creepy and eerie because it has some true crime elements, and there were also some like unnatural body things going on in this that kind of just made me like, ugh, like it took me aback type of thing, but it wasn't like scary, you know. I do want to reread this again next year for sure. This is about sisters who come back and they're not the same. I think they look the same, or no, they don't. I don't know, they're just not, they don't seem like the same people when they come back after being missing. Just based on this cover, I mean, there are ants and flowers growing out of places that flowers don't grow. So I feel like this is very underrated. I've seen a few people pick it up, but after the hype died down, I feel like it kind of just got brushed under the rug. So here I am trying to revive its glory. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. And then I have When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. So this is a thriller that has horror elements that people always debate on whether it's horror or not, because the horror element is gentrification, and people who have never experienced things like that just don't see it as horror, and there are many things wrong about that. I've personally never experienced gentrification, but this still creeped me the fuck out. What I don't understand is that there's this one part, I remember like the most vivid scene in this is this Uber driver not being the correct, you know, person from the app. The girl gets kidnapped, and that's like one of my biggest fears. So like that part in and of itself is horror, along with everything else, all these creepy people entering this neighborhood that you've lived in forever and just kind of taking over and acting all weird. This is creepy. I promise you, this is creepy. This story has stuck with me for a while, and I would reread this for sure. And this cover kind of reminds me of Stay Awake by Megan Golden, which I really enjoyed as well. I gave that one 5 stars. I think I gave this one 5 stars too. Stay Awake was pretty, I would say, riveting more than creepy. The premise creeped me out in the beginning because it's like she like doesn't remember anything. She has all this shit written on her arms. She has a bloody knife in her pocket, and she wakes up and she tries to go home, but there's someone else living in her apartment and she just doesn't understand, and that was creepy. But that's a really good thriller. It's probably one of my new favorite thrillers now, so that's another one I would recommend. I know this is more than 12 books, but it is what it is. But the very last book I want to talk about in this video is what is right now my top favorite book of 2022, and that is A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. So I'm gonna preface this by saying this book is dense, okay? It's a very short book, but you really have to absorb what you're reading or else you'll miss something. The writing is phenomenal. It reads like a memoir. I genuinely looked up if Chelsea G. Summers has like a criminal record of some sort or has done some of these things, because this is about a 50-year-old serial killer cannibal who kills men and cooks their body parts in a way that's like fancy cuisine, because she's also a foodie. So she like makes the body parts into these like delectable recipes. Like she doesn't just like fry them and eat them, you know? She makes them into like a chicken pate type of recipe, things like that. And there are so many messed up parts in this book. I loved it. I don't know, this was the type that was like you're rooting for the main character. It's like, hell yeah, holy shit, she really just did that type thing. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is so gross. There were some parts that were pretty gross, but it didn't like make me nauseous or anything, which is kind of concerning now that I think about it, now that I'm saying it out loud. But we're gonna move on. And I heard about this book so organically. I was shelving books at work and I just pulled it from the shelves randomly because I saw an anatomical heart on the spine, which I have a tattoo of. Like, I love the look of it. I don't know why. And I just turned to a random page and it turned to chapter 18 and it was called Hot Dog. And the whole first page of that chapter was talking about love, and I literally colored the entire page when I read this. But yeah, I hit add to cart right away while I was shelving books. Now we're here. Like I said, the writing is impeccable. It's so descriptive. The vocabulary is so sophisticated. I love this book. Oh my god. I hate that I just did that. I love this cover. It's one of my all-time favorite books now. So those are all the books that have actually creeped me out that I had on my shelves at this very moment. Let me know if any of these books creeped you out. Let me know if you want me to do like a part 2 eventually, possibly. Because, well, Joey reads some fucked up books, so I'm sure I'll be reading them eventually too. We just read Cows by Matthew Stokoe, and we did a whole, like, I call them unmuted and unhinged live reading sprints on my Patreon, so that was a super fun time. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram, you've heard about it. But yeah, that one's another one that damn near made me throw up. So there's another recommendation. If you made it to the end of this video, you know what? Put the anatomical heart emoji in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all had a great day. Stay safe, stay positive, and stay spooky always. And I'll see y'all in my next one. Bye!